Hello, Marvel Strike Force fans. Welcome to G for G on YouTube. This is Napalm Dawn, and today we're going to discuss the fact that Marvel Strike Force finally, out of all of the Marvel games that I have played, is fulfilling me with a lifelong childhood dream. And for fans of the channel, you might know who it is. For fans of the channel who also play Marvel Strike Force, you probably really know who it is. But we're going to get a character in Marvel Strike Force that I have never piloted in any Marvel game, and this dates back, the desire to pilot this character dates back literally to childhood. So let's go over here. We're going to sort by locked characters, and we're going to show it off. There she is. Angelica Jones, Firestar. That's it. I can die a happy person now. Firestar is going to be playable in a Marvel game that I actually play. My only encounter with Firestar so far in any of the Marvel games that I ever played, she was a team up in Marvel Heroes, or some might know it as Marvel Heroes Omega, depending on if they did it on the PC or the console. But she was a team-up character in Marvel Heroes, which means she basically was that game's version of a pet. If you've ever played any RPGs where your hunter or like a beast tamer character could have a pet, like World of Warcraft's Hunters or something, that's basically what the team-ups were in Marvel Heroes. I think I had things like Ultron. No, I had Ultron as a regular hero. I forget exactly who my most common one was. I believe I did get Firestar and make her my team up. Once I had her, I'd have to go back and check some of my old videos and everything. But this is the closest I've ever come to being able to play with Angelica Jones in a Marvel game. So for those who don't know, actually that went into another video. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was a cartoon series in the early 80s. I've got this muted in case there's any audio issues, but at the time that Spider-Man came out, they were trying to basically emulate the success of the DC Justice cartoon that was happening at the time. Meanwhile, back at the Legion of Doom, and Marvel wanted to do the same thing, so they created the Spider-Man show, and they wanted him to have a fire friend and an ice friend, kind of a fire and ice dynamic going on. Well, they couldn't get the rights to the Human Torch with his Fantastic Four association, which is a little bit telling as to the problems Marvel would have in the future with some of the characters that got owned by Sony and Fox and everything, like the Fantastic Four, the Mutant Universe, Deadpool, all of that. It's kind of interesting to see that there was an issue like that even way back then in the 80s when Marvel was a little bit more unified. But this was a cartoon that I absolutely grew up on, loved, watched the show as much as I could. And then in the later 80s, early 90s, when Spider-Man had that Spider-Man show where Carnage showed up and Venom and everything, Madam Web, I think they did delve into the Spider-Verse in that cartoon. That was also a favorite, but I didn't get to see as much of it as I wanted. This show, however, was a Saturday morning show, and I watched it religiously. So as you can see here from this particular picture, this is the aesthetic that Marvel Strike Force is going with. The very swept back wings on the mask really sweeps off of the head, almost in a Crown of Thorns type thing, and it's this look, whereas this was the look that I am most familiar with. This particular picture over here is taken from the Marvel Handbook Eel through Mad Dog this is her entry in that character sheet over there, which is basically a pen and paper tabletop version of a Marvel game. And this is how she appeared in the show. She had to replace Human Torch, which was interesting, but she wasn't specifically fire. She was actually microwave. She was microwave based. And this look over here is sort of similar to the one that Marvel Heroes Omega used. Spitfire and Marvel Avengers Alliance had a very, very similar outfit to her, so I always considered it kind of close. If you look at Spitfire, she's really, really close. This is what she looked like in Marvel Avengers Alliance. I mean, it's not super, super close, but it is relatively close in appearance between the mask and the yellow and orange aesthetic and everything. So I always used to say that Marvel Avengers came close in giving us Spitfire, but here you can see they wanted to use Human Torch. She may have been called Heatwave, Starblaze, or Firefly. They eventually settled on Firestar. She dates Peter Parker a little bit and sort of has a flirtatious love triangle with Iceman. She would also have a relationship with Sunfire, aka the Japanese asshole of the Avengers. Now, when I say the Japanese asshole, I don't mean that in any bad way, other than the fact that that is his character. He was kind of a jackass. He was known for being hot-headed and brash, and I also believe he was fairly xenophobic to people who were not Japanese. He was basically very pro-Japanese, pro-ethnocentric for Japanese. But yeah, this is who Sunfire had a relationship with for a little while. And the way that she would eventually get portrayed, so she was only for this show, but then they would establish her in the proper Marvel continuity, and she would be considered a mutant. When she originally started, she was a member of the Hellions, which was sort of a Hellfire Club's version of a Charles Xavier team. And if you remember the Transformers back in the 80s, how you have the combiner bots like the Constructicons, and how you would have the Autobot version of it, and you would have Autobot City, and you have the Decepticon City. It was the same kind of deal where the Hellions were basically meant to oppose the Young Mutants. Firestar would eventually break out of Emma Frost's psychic hold on her and the training that she was getting from Emma Frost, and decided to move over to the X-Men side of things and basically leave that sort of villainous livelihood behind and become a member of Charles's team. And I think, if I recall correctly, she would go on to be not the New Mutants. There was another team that she would get on. I don't think it's Young Avengers, but yeah, let's see. I think I saw it down here. No, not Young Alice. She bounced around from group to group a little bit after leaving the Hellions. New Warriors. There it is. She would become a member of the New Warriors, and as you can see here, some of these characters definitely look familiar, including Baby Nova over there. So Firestar, Marvel Boy, Namorita, Young Nova, and Speedball, and eventually then Night Thrasher. So this is a... Boy, I cannot wait until she gets unlocked in this game. Right now, there isn't a way of getting her, but you can see her tags will be Hero City, Mutant Blaster, New Warrior. And then we're also getting a lot of these World War II characters. And this is the British version of the Avengers called the Invaders. And I'm definitely going to do a comparison video on that. And we'll delve into the Marvel Avengers Alliance version of these characters versus the Marvel Strike Force ones. Because, I mean, we can consider Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier. We can do it. You know, we have a Cap to Cap one. We have Iron Fist to Iron Fist. Quicksilver to Quicksilver is obviously very simple. And definitely Union Jack compared to Union Jack. We can have a pretty good video there comparing a lot of one-to-ones for these new characters. If we go and take a look at the new Warrior category, she will fit in with Deathpool, Cloak and Dagger, and Firestar. That'll round that team out a little bit. Right now, this team for me has Deathpool, Cloak and Dagger, and then the two Eternals that I've got, Icarus and Cersei. So that is a team that I've got. And as far as Invaders going, we've got Nick Fury, Bucky Barnes, Cap, Iron Fist, and Union Jack. Cap will have Hero, Global Skill, Controller, and Invader. So he's not going to fit in with any of the current Avengers-related teams. He's really only going to fit in on this team. Iron Fist, he loses a lot of his other tags over here. You see Mystic is gone, Heroes for Hire, Defenders, all that. Hero, Global, Skills, Support, Invader. I think they're definitely missing a really good opportunity to have had Captain Britain in there. They could have had Spitfire. They could have had Psylocke. Maybe I'm focusing more on Excalibur. Let's see who were the members of the Invaders. Yeah, Namor. Yeah, I forgot about Namor too. So World War II, they have Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes, the original Human Torch, the original Android Human Torch, Toro, Namor, which I do actually recall it going back to that. Here's Union Jack. There's Spitfire, like I called it out. Miss America, Madeline Joyce, I don't know that much. Wizard, I know a little bit about. Blazing Skull, Silver Scorpion, New Invaders, Liberty Legion. Boy, that sounds really on the nose. That sounds very heavy-handed. Union Jack the Third, Human Torch 1, Avengers and Invaders. Luke Cage is the Black Avenger. Wow, again, a little on the nose there. Iron Man is Elektra, Miss Marvel. Okay, let's see what they're doing. Yeah, I guess I was confusing Excalibur a little bit there. Sam Wilson, Winter Soldier, Human Torch, Namor. Okay. Invaders and Excalibur tend to be a little bit British oriented, so it's kind of easy to confuse them at times. I wonder if we will ever get a Excalibur team up, because I mean we do have Psylocke, and let's see, who could we add to I think Faiza Hussein for Marvel Avengers Alliance was a Excalibur. Shadowcat and Nightcrawler. So we've got Nightcrawler already. Adding in Shadowcat, we've got Kitty Pryde already. Captain Britain, Psylocke. So you have 4 already. And I wonder who could be the legendary from that. Maybe Black Knight? Can't remember if he was a member of Excalibur or not. X-Babies, Ricochet. No, it's trivia, new Excalibur. I was hoping that would have a straight up members and former members link. Members. Okay, Captain Britain Betsy, Megan. Phoenix is already in the game, but Rachel Summers. Uh, Maybe the Rachel Summers version of Phoenix. I don't know that much about this Megan. I always wondered if Black Knight was a member of Excalibur. Let's see. Scarlet Knight. Yeah, the hero Black Knight by his ancestor. Okay. So yeah, they could possibly get away with it. And just simply add Black Knight to the game and then use existing members to be the rest of Excalibur. See, that's the Captain Britain version of Psylocke over there. But yeah, they could do Psylocke, Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, and they probably can't do that face. They might have to add two. They might have to add Captain Britain, potentially as the tank for the group, and then add Black Knight in there, throw in some mystic tags and everything. It's possible. I would definitely like to see it happen. And as we're getting the Invaders, I think that's also pretty cool. I kind of thought they were maybe going to go with just a uniform for this other Captain America, but he's going to be his own full-blown character, and we will definitely see a video for that in the future as we run the comparisons. But now let's end the video with an actual look at Firestar over here. The in-game bio says she is a mutant with amazing friends, reference to her old cartoon and how she was introduced. Firestar generates scorching heat and flames using microwaves to pierce enemy defenses. She does have a mutant tag, but she has no X-Men or Avengers tags. It is just simply New Warrior. Boy, it took them a long time to start building out the rest of that team. She attacks the primary target for damage with piercing. She's got a bleed because this game cannot do any debuff other than bleed for some particular reason. There's no burning, there's no poison. Every single dot in this game is just simply a bleed. A good way to unify the code, but also a little bit boring at the same time. Piercing. Apply offense up to a random New Warrior, Spider-Man, or Iceman ally that does not have offense up. So they know they haven't completed New Warrior a little bit, so they can do the Amazing Friends team up. That's cool. I like the fact that they throw a nod back to her origins over there. Piercing to the primary target, extra crit chance. Apply bleed. On crit, gain a charge, extra crit. So clearly, I think she is going to become a raider. I believe that is the one that does the extra chance of crit. I have a feeling that's how she's going to get ISO'd in this game. She's going to go that route. Fiery Descent. Attack primary and adjacent targets for piercing. Additional piercing. Defense down. Slow and defense down. Flip a positive to a negative on the targets that she hits. And then flip 3 positives to negatives. That definitely sounds orange worthy. I would say if you get her ISO'd up properly, the level 1 seems ISO worthy too. Microwave burst, attack the primary and adjacent targets for piercing and apply bleeds. Repeat it 3 times. Piercing goes up, she gains crit chance, crit, offense down, and Crucible, trauma, and heal block. I would say that's not orange worthy right off the bat, but if you're using her in Crucible, it's probably going to be your number 1 orange. And then red hot. On enemy turn, if she is charged, attack the enemy with the highest speed, ignoring taunt and stealth. 160% piercing, she loses a charged. When an enemy attacks this character, 50% chance to apply counter to self and Iceman and Spider-Man allies. So this is really interesting. They're roping her into being a New Warrior, but all of her abilities are centered around having Bobby and Peter around. Yet there isn't a designation here. I mean, maybe we're gonna see an Amazing Friends category show up by the time she goes live, and maybe Spider-Man and Bobby will be that. I don't know who else they could add there. I'd have to dive back into the show and see, but it's not really like they had a lot of common friends in the show who showed up repeatedly. So yeah, could be interesting. Um, on enemy turn, if charged, attack the enemy with the highest speed, ignoring taunt and stealth. Yep, when an enemy attacks, right. So the piercing goes up. I mean, this is an interesting passive. I like it. If charged, flips speed up on the enemy with the highest speed. On Crucible, now we finally start getting some new warrior stuff, but it's only for Crucible. Weird. It's sort of like a very she's got a bit of psychosis going on here in her kit. She does a PvE style team up with Bobby and Peter, but she does like a PvP style team up with the new warriors. Very, very interesting. But I'm very happy to see her in a game that I'm gonna play. Definitely gonna do what I can to unlock her, because again, as I said, the closest I've ever come is Marvel Heroes Omega, and having her as a team up. Boy, this Bucky Barnes looks super fucking goofy. It's just, I know that's often how he's represented. It's definitely a very golden age of comics, very 50s comic look in its simplicity and everything. And in Marvel Snap, Bucky Barnes is represented this way until he's quote unquote destroyed, and then he becomes a Winter Soldier. Yeah. Yeah, well, we will take a deeper look at these new characters in a different video. This one wanted to more focus on Firestar and her origins, in case you don't really know them. I don't know how many people younger than me are particularly familiar with Firestar, because unless you were following the comics, she was really only around for that show, and then just never quite gained the popularity of a lot of her mutant brethren. So there you go. What do you think about Firestar appearing in Marvel Strike Force? Are you as hyped as I am, or are you hyped about any of these other characters? I know I'm really hyped about Quicksilver too, especially since it is his mutant representation of him. Oh, well, guess not. They're not calling him a mutant. God, yeah, they're doing a Scarlet Witch bullshit. Okay, so I guess he's not a mutant, even though this is the more mutant looking of the Quicksilvers as compared to the Age of Ultron representation that we've had in some games like Marvel Avengers Lines. Alright, Napalm checking out. See you guys.